My name is Sir Elliot, and I am going to be discussing animal testing around the world. Okay, so animal testing originally started back in 500 BC. The ancient Greeks had it depicted in some of their writing, and it is believed that people used to operate or test on other humans, and in doing this, they grew tired of using humans as test subjects, so they decided to move to animals, and they felt that that was more ethical at the time. And a Greek philosopher had a message for those who believed that animal testing was unethical, and that was that humans can reason, and because of this reasoning power or ability that we have, we are above animals, and since we are above animals, we should not think if it's unethical or ethical to operate on animals, because we should just do it because that's our right, so to say. And then also, the test subjects have been around for a long time. Animal testing has been around for a long time, but in the 19th century, this is when animal tests started to evolve and improve and get more relevant in society. And I will show you that here. So in 19th century England, there's vivisections and dissections. Vivisections is testing or experimentation on an animal live while the animal is alive, and a dissection is when the animal is dead, of course. And these vivisection and dissections were performed live, so in front of a live audience, and no one had a problem with this. But as it started to pick up in the 19th century, they started to use and incorporate domestic animals in the testings, and then this is when people started to rebel against the ideal. So once this happened, there's a guy named Francois Magendie, I think that's how you say it, Francois Magendie, and he was known for having cruel experiments. And during one of his experiments, that was like his famous experiment that he was remembered for, was he had a dog. He did a dog dissection in front of a live audience, and the dog was pinned down by its paws, and he operated on half of its face because he was examining the facial nerves of the dog. Rather, that would help us humans figure out how our facial nerves work. I don't know, but that's what he felt was the best at that time. And this started to raise questions throughout the society in 19th century England. Also, this led to the anesthesia being invented. So in 1846, anesthesia was invented, and this was one reason that people could say, animal testing is not as cruel or inhumane as you guys may think. However, with all the domestic animals picking up in 19th century England animal test, they incorporated in 1876, which was towards the end of the 19th century, the Cruelty to Animals Act. So this just made it so in order to operate or test on animals, you have to have clear credentials, basically, to make sure you are actually a proper medical practitioner. Moving right along, why is animal testing necessary? So this is the first perspective of the argument. To start off, according to the California Biomedical Research Association, chimpanzees share up to 99% of our DNA, and mice share up to almost 98% of our DNA. So because of this relatively close match in DNA, people figure that they can use chimpanzees and mice instead of using a human test subject, and we can get relatively the same results in different advances in the human medical field. And next, the experiments are easily controlled. So while experimenting on these animals, you can have more control during it. So they can control, light, the diet of the organism, and also like the temperature of these environments as well. And besides the mice and chimpanzees, they also use other animals like guinea pigs, rabbits, and birds and rats, and also much more than that they test on today. Also, the alternatives for animal testing are not as promising as others may think. There's tissue cultures that you can collect and test on. People are doing that now to try to substitute. And also there are computer models that you can look at, computer breakdown of a structured organism. However, these cannot make up for a real animal because, for example, high blood pressure, you cannot examine high blood pressure in tissue cultures. It's just not possible, and you cannot test blindness in a piece of bacteria. So there's different clashes that don't make up for what animal testing includes, because a lot of the tissues and systems in our body are interconnected. So you need all of those together to properly equate the situation. However, here are some stats with the animal testing. So one website showed that 17 to 23 million animals are experimented on each year. Some stats show that that is a higher number, and we will get into that later. Also, testing results and experiments. So results that have concurred from animal tests, because animal testing has had a lot of benefits throughout the years. So, there's HIV testing in primates, cancer testing in mice, guinea pigs helped to treat asthma, because they use those to test on asthma. The polio vaccine was actually from many different animal experiments, so that helped. And then also mice used to perfect penicillin. Mice, rats, cats, rabbits have all helped to develop hypertension drugs for high blood pressure. So that's just a handful of those results that they have gotten from using animal experimentation. So it is a positive thing in that category. But the next perspective will be, why is animal testing unethical? So animal testing, people that feel that it's unethical, they say that animal rights are being violated, and that could be true. They also, as you see in this picture, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it says a novel drug can take 10 to 15 years and more than 2 billion to develop. And failure rates occur in about 95% of human studies, or human studies. So knowing that, 95% failure rate, they're taking what humans use for experiments, and they show that a lot of it is failing, while the 5% that is passing, could be contributing to helping save lives, like the polio vaccines and the cancer treatments and HIV treatments that we have seen in the last slide. Also, they concur that animal testing is unnecessary, even though mice and chimpanzees match us in DNA closely, they are not the same organism, and therefore they cannot get the same diseases as we get, which some organisms that are tested on, like chimpanzees, can get a lot of diseases that we get, but some cannot. Also, their numbers say that 100 million animals in the U.S. in U.S. labs are tested on each year. And so that's over 100 million animals. That is a lot. And that they say that the animals are abused and burned and crippled each year as well. So they are being mistreated. And also, 92% of experimental drugs fail in humans. So when they pass the clinical trials for animals, when they go to the humans to be tested, they fail. So all that work, time, and money for no reason is what their reasoning is. So in conclusion, which side is more reasonable? It just depends on your preference. If you feel as though the human race benefits, and I believe they greatly benefit from some animal testing, even though there is a lot of collateral damage from doing the animal test. But in turn of doing those animal tests, we have had a lot of medical advancement from those tests. If we didn't have something as simple as the asthma inhalers, things like that, people will be dying from diseases or conditions that we look at as a pastime disease or condition. Also, animals do die each year from the testing. Like I said, a lot of animals die, so that's something to consider if you feel that is unethical, which I can see that could be the number is high, 100 million each year in the U.S. Other countries probably don't have to report that number that die. So it's a large number of dying animals each year. Also, like I said, the cures and treatments, we've had a great human advancement from doing the animal testing. And the question that I would leave you with is, can we go without animal testing? I'm not sure if we can. I mean, maybe at this point in technology, maybe we can find a common ground, a different way to test on animal, cells, but not test on the animal exactly, or, the whole animal, and not harm that animal, and also improve the human medical advances. I don't know. That might be a thing in the future. And if so, then maybe we should move to that. And if not, then we should consider to still test on animals, because we do not want to test on ourselves, our fellow humans. Thank you for listening, and have a good time.